Travis Wingate. So I was requested to do a video to some references that are associated with the Jews. So I'm not entirely sure of his intentions, because there's some basic understanding of Scripture that needs to be given, and it's unclear that I'm not sure if I'll be able to do a video, as I'm under attack today. People don't want me to speak. People want me silenced, similar to Christians and the Jews. So let's see what I can do and go from there. First one is he wants me to do a teaching on Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. And so for the pre-video, you need to understand that the whole of the Bible, both Old and New Testament, were written during the Roman period time. They were not the original documents from the time period. The authors are not the authors. They're what is it, a pseudonym or a nom de plume as part of the story. And so they're trying to teach a message to people. With Revelation, you have John first speaking to the 5 churches in Turkey. And in this particular chapter, chapter 2, it's the church in Smyrna. And so notice in verse 6, the Nicolaitans, and you should see the footnote 6a. Oh, nope, they don't. It should be directly tied to section 117 of the Doctrine and Covenants, in which Joseph Smith calls out Newell K. Whitney for his association with the Nicolaitan band. It's using it as code to refer to the Danites. And so in verse 9, he's condemning the members in the church of Smyrna, saying that they call themselves Jews, but they're not, because they're wicked. He knows thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them. And so, looking at all of his questions, I think he's trying to get across that this is anti-Semitic. And it's not. He's referring to people who claim to be of the Jews, but are not. And thus uses the more modern term during the time period of Satan, which is adversary, which in Paleo-Hebrew is King Set from the Egyptians, and uses devil in verse 10. But nonetheless, that's what's going on with Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. He said, if you're going to be of a particular religion, you need to act like it. So for Mormons, if you're going to be a Mormon, you need to act like it. You need to quit going around attacking people, committing crimes, and being violent, just because you don't like it that people are criticizing you. You got to set a good example to others.
They said they paid so, 3 or 4 times, which I didn't hear.
3-9.
They said the guy came with the CO tanks and he took off. That you were supposed to be down there and sign for it. The thing is, they didn't pay you once, and I said, "How is that?" Well,
I'm getting concerned, just getting riled up.
They're supposed to be exactly. And I said, how is that his fault when he doesn't
So,
there to get down there?
it's the same situation here.
There, you know?
This is the church in Philadelphia in Turkey.
I guess so.
And they talk about the Key of David. That would be far more interesting than the Synagogue of Satan. But again, it's the same concept. They are the Synagogue of Satan, the Church of Satan, because they say they are Jews, but are not. You have to practice what you preach. You know, even for Christians. If you're going to be Christian, you actually got to love people. You can't go around telling people how to live their lives and demand that they be Christian with the sword of violence. You know, it doesn't work that way. And I've been wanting to do a video. I've been watching Superman and Lois, because I got season 2 on Tuesday, about how Superman and Lois are trying to control every single act, speech, and belief of their sons, and they're all stressed that they're failing. I'm going, chill, relax. You need to teach them everything about life on how to live it themselves, and give them a choice of the options that are in life so that they can choose to go into what they want to go into. So if they want to go into football, great. You've taught them how to be good to other people, and there's no need to worry about having to listen in on their conversations or spying on them, or, you know, or hovering over them and correcting them for every little thing that they do wrong, because they're kids. They're going to make mistakes. And as long as you teach them correctly about how to live their lives from the beginning, generally, they will learn for themselves as they put it into practice and experience for themselves how to live. But just too much stress that didn't need to happen. Anyway, and so, yeah, John is a perfect example here. They were given the teaching in the beginning as they organized their church based on it, but over the course of time, they went astray. And so he's correcting them. Hey, you're not acting like you're supposed to. You're being corrupt. And so you need to get back on track. It's real simple, not complicated. He doesn't need to hover over them to make sure, oh, no, you cannot have that Mountain Dew. That's a violation of the word of wisdom. None of that crap. And so, little side thing there for you. Let's see, what was the next one? Acts 7:43.
Benjamin Benson, you're right here. Benjamin Benson, you're right here.
43. All right. So here we have let's go to verse 42 for context here. Then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifice by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Referring to Moses. Yep, sure enough. Verse 44, there's Moses. So verse 43, yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Molech. Eliminate the vowels. And what do you get? Melech, king. And the star of your God, Remphan. Figures which he made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. So what you have are Babylonian practices. And Remphan is a different word in Amos chapter 5. We got to get to the Old Testament. There it is. Amos chapter 5. I believe it's verse 26. Because they didn't know to footnote it. They didn't even do Nicolation. Was that you, Bruce, who made that mistake? Because Bruce did Revelation. He was a part of that. So Bruce most likely is the one who purposely left out the connection to section 117. I'd have to check the other footnotes around it to confirm that it's Bruce R. and not one of the other guys that were in charge of the other half of Revelation. Because he did Isaiah, and if you go through the footnotes, you will see where Bruce R. McConkie did the footnotes, and then all of a sudden you'll go, what the heck is this the reference for? That's the other guy that was involved with it. And so you'll see it with Revelation as well. So verse 26. But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch. And again, from the original Hebrew, it's king. And Kayon. It says CH, but it's the K in Hebrew. And you eliminate the vowel, which is the U, and the I is doubled, which means there's the consonant Yod in Semitic Hebrew, which is the Zeta in Paleo in Greek. They're pictorially the same. And so it's a different word than Cohen. But because we know that it's referring to Babylonian culture and Babylonian astronomy, we then have the word Kaiwan in Babylonian, which is Saturn. That's the star that they're talking about. And so the star of your god, Saturn. And he's in the Roman period time anyway, rather than the Babylonian time period. But he's referring to the name from Babylonian. So we then have Genesis 10 about the sons of Japheth, the Gentiles. It's only because it says that in the text. You need to understand that during the Roman period time, what you have are the surviving Jews, as the house of Israel had scattered as they were deported from northern Israel by Assyria back into Assyria and then collapsed, and they got scattered around the world. And that's where the myth of the lost 10 tribes came in from. And then you have Babylon coming in and conquering and eventually destroying Jerusalem. And they took a group of the royalty of the Jews back to Babylon. Archaeology has found the place where they were held captive while in Babylon, and there were documents confirming their identity and their location of imprisonment in their captivity. And so during the Roman period, what you have for Japheth concerning Gentiles, let's get to Genesis chapter 10 here for you. Is the author's manipulation of the word that later became changed by the Jews. So verse 5, by these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands, everyone after their tongue, after their families, in their nations. Gentiles is Goyim in the biblical text. And that's referring to the children of Japheth, as Esau is also Edom. And so Gentiles is merely the descendants of Japheth. But when the Jews now speak of Goy, or Goyim, they're now talking about anybody who's not Jewish. And I'm not sure now, because the Jews over the course of the couple millennia have kind of interbred with the Goyim. And so are they still Goyim, or are they now part of the family of the Jews? And so you can't really use Goyim anymore. But nonetheless, you don't see that word for Ham and his family. Nope. And so that it's not intended to mean non-Jew in this context in Genesis chapter 10, but by the current change definition by the Jews. And then he wants to know who's Gomer's son again. He's referring to Ashkenaz, the German Jews. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan. But Ashkenaz is the location for the area that became later known as Germany. Had to be Prussia before it became Germany, I believe. Let's confirm that. Yeah, Prussia was a German state on the southeast coast of the Baltic Sea. It formed the German Empire under Prussian rule when it united the German states in 1871. And so you can't use Germany as the borders, because they didn't have those borders. There was expansion and contraction throughout time. And so you just got to understand it's somewhere in the German area in Europe, as the author is trying to assign the current people living there with who he's designating as their ancestors. You have to remember that the author of Genesis is kind of racist, kinda, when we're dealing with Lot, the cousin of Abraham, as his children become the wives of the people that result from that during the time period in which they're writing of the story, of the origins of Lot's ancestor, or Lot's descendants. So it's, yeah, kind of cruel. Oh yeah, well, your original founder had sex with his daughters. So yeah, there's the video for you. I'm struggling to see how anything concerning the Jews relate to this. Again, you're pulling an anachronism in which you're assigning the current morality, the current thinking, the current items into the past where they didn't exist. So that's it. That's all. Don't pull an anachronism, because you probably hear about people who twist the scriptures to justify whatever they want to justify, and then people then claim, oh, well, he says it's this, so I don't know. Yeah, we do know. He's wrong. You can't do that. There's only one interpretation of the scriptures, and you have to do your research to get it right. You can't just make things up.